You know, it's kind of a mess. This is definitely not what you want your roulade to look like. And I really want to blame the Country Crock whipping cream, but it's not their fault. It's totally my fault this time. Sometimes the best vegan recipes happen to not be mine. Why would I go to all the trouble of trying to perfect a vegan cake roll when Sarah Kidd has done it for us already? Today I'm using a recipe out of her Vegan Cake Bible. If you guys have not picked up this cookbook, you really need to add it to your repertoire. So the first thing that I'm going to do is add some vinegar to my plant milk, and I'm using soy milk because that is the only plant milk that will thicken up like a buttermilk that we remember from our past lives. I'm going to add some vanilla extract to that. Next, I'm going to be combining the confectioner's sugar with the melted vegan butter. This recipe asks for some sweetened condensed coconut milk, and I'm using the tinned variety that I bought at the store, but I will provide you with a recipe to make your own just in case you can't get that. And then we're going to add in the thickened plant milk with the vinegar and the vanilla. The other beautiful thing about this recipe is that it is so easy to mix. You do not even need an electric mixer. It can all be done by hand in a mixing bowl in minutes. So I've just sifted together my flour, baking powder, baking soda, and salt, and I'm going to add in the wet ingredients. I've already preheated my oven to 320 degrees. And this cake bakes up in, I believe, like 15 minutes. I'm gonna have to double check that. As always, the recipes will be provided for you at my website at GretchensVeganBakery.com. All credit for this cake recipe, of course, goes to Sarah Kidd. You definitely have to check out her website, and this cookbook is something that everyone really needs to have. So many times people ask me if I have gluten-free recipes, which I am not a gluten-free baker, but I will tell you one thing, Sarah Kidd has nailed the gluten-free vegan baking game. So I was close. It was actually 18 minutes, and it bakes up to this beautiful golden color. And it's springy to the touch when I press gently on it. It's not gummy or tacky on the top, but I do have to let this cool completely before we fill it up and start to roll it. And that gives me a chance to talk about whipped cream, vegan whipped cream. So you're gonna wanna skip through to the next video and then come back here because I talk all about vegan whipped creams. If you saw my last video for chocolate cream pie cake, you know that I had a bit of a battle with this Country Crock whipping cream. Country Crock plant cream is a crock of boop. Now, if you don't care what I have to say about all the vegan whipping creams, that's completely fine too. And you can absolutely fill this vanilla roulade with really anything that you want. So I did make a pretty good workaround so that I still could use this plant cream because I do love the taste. It really is easy to work with. It is the most affordable one, and by simply adding chocolate ganache, cooled chocolate ganache, to the very last stage of whipping, I get a beautiful, stable vegan whipped cream that is just perfect to use as a filling for this cake. Please note that I am not sponsored by Country Crock or any of the products that I'm using in this recipe. I'm simply offering my experience and my opinion on these products. So I'm going to spread a very thin layer of ganache on my cake roll and then a sprinkling of toasted almonds and that light billowy chocolate whipped cream. So once again, here at Gretchen's Vegan Bakery, I show you what not to do. So I had to get this monstrosity into the freezer pretty quickly after I'd rolled it up because I have a tendency to really fill my cakes too much, and that's exactly what I did with that ganache layer and then the almond layer and then the whipped cream layer. I definitely did not do that on my first trial for this cake, so I got a little bit crazy and I overfilled my roulade, and I definitely paid for it. So, you know, it's kind of a mess. This is definitely not what you want your roulade to look like. And I really want to blame the Country Crock whipping cream, but it's not their fault. It's totally my fault this time. I just overstuffed it, and you can't do that with a roulade that's a thin cake like this. Your filling has to be as thin, if not thinner. I still think it's going to be delicious. So it's a good thing that I had my first trial in the freezer. This one did not have the ganache layer. It did not have the crushed nuts layer. And I think I went a little bit more conservative on the chocolate whipped cream as well, which is why it rolled up like a dream. And as you can see, it's just absolutely perfect. So just take it from me, really don't overstuff your things. I will have the written recipe to perfect quantity so that you do not have the same disasters that I had. But let me tell you something, this cake is absolute perfection. I am so glad that I named it Vanilla Cloud Roll, because that's what it tastes like. This cake is so light and delicious with the perfect amount of chocolate whipped cream inside. So I really do hope that you are going to want to try this recipe. I will direct you to everything that is Sarah Kid Baking. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy vegan baking. Bye for now.